Hi, it's me, Luis, a freehand crochet artist. I make amigurumis and any crochet related projects. Welcome to Ziru Vlogz. In today's video, we are going to make this fluff head bandana. This is in a paw print design with a picot edging. I've already finished the written pattern of this. I will put the link in the description box in case you want to have the written pattern. So here's what I'm going to use. I will be using a fingering weight yarn. This is a multi-strand and it is a polyester, spun polyester. And I am going to use my number 6 hook or 3.5mm hook. Let's begin. First, we need to create a slip knot. To create the slip knot, put your hook under your yarn, twist clockwise, and pull up a loop. And then you already created your slip knot. Now we are going to make 3 chains. And to create the chain stitch, I will pull up a loop, and there you created your chain stitch. We already created our first chain stitch. We are going to add 2 more. These 2 chains here will represent our first DC, and this first chain will be our first stitch or our base of our head bandana. Now we are going to put the stitches here in the first chain stitch. So we are going to add 2 DC. To create the DC, yarn over, insert your hook into a stitch, pull up a loop, and then pull through 2 and pull through 2. So you've created our first double crochet or DC. Now we are going to add another one, and then chain 3, and then we are going to put 3 more DC in the same stitch. And you can already see that we are already creating the triangular form of our head bandana. Row 2, chain 2, and this will represent our first DC, and then we are going to create or add 2 more DC in the first stitch. And then we are going to put double crochet in each stitch, and now we already reached the 3 chain space. In the 3 chain space, we are going to put 2 DC, three chain, and 2 DC. And then we are going to mirror the stitches. We are going to mirror the stitches that we did here. And don't forget to put 3 DC in the last stitch to maintain its triangular shape. Now we're done with row 2, and then we move on to row 3. Chain 2, add 2 DC in the first stitch, and then we are going to put DC in each stitch. And now we reach the 3 chain space. In the 3 chain space, we are going to put 2 DC, chain 3, and 2 DC. And then mirror the stitches that we did here. Always remember to put 3 stitches in the last stitch. You might get confused because there is it's not similar with the other DC stitches because we did a chain stitch here. So this is the last stitch, and we are going to put 3 DC in this stitch. And then we are going to create our first paw print pattern. Row 4, chain 2, add 2 DC in the first stitch, and then we are going to add 4 DC or DC in the next 4 stitches. We are going to do 3 chains, skip 2, and then DC in the next 4 stitches. And then we already reach the 3 chain space. We are going to put 2 DC, chain 3, and 2 DC. And then mirror the stitches that we did here. So as you can see, this will be the palm of our paw print, this one. So in this row, you have 2 palm of your paw print. Row 5, we are going to make the next detail of our paw print design. So always remember to put 3 DC in the first and last stitch. And then next, we are going to put 4 DC, 4. And then if you notice, there are still 2 DC stitches of the previous round. So the next thing you need to do after the 4 DC is chain 1, skip 1, and then DC in this stitch. Next, in this 3 chain space, we are going to put 2 single crochet. To do the single crochet, insert your hook, pull up a loop, and pull through 2. Again, to do the single crochet, pull up a loop and pull through 2. So in this 3 chain space, we are going to put 2 single crochet, and then double crochet or DC in the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1, and DC in the next stitch, or DC in the next 4 stitches. So this is how it will look like. And then we already reach the 3 chain space. Always remember to put 2 DC, 3 chain, and 2 DC in the 3 chain space. And then you are going to mirror that stitches that we did here. Row 6, we are going to put 6 DC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we are going to put 1 DC in this chain 1 space. We are going to put 1 DC in the chain 1 space, chain 1, and then we are going to do the XDC. I just named it XDC because we are going to cross the 2 DC in these 2 single crochet stitches. So to do that, put your first DC into the second SC, or skip 2 stitches. So we're going to put it here in the second single crochet. Just do the usual double crochet, and then we are going to put the next double crochet back into the first single crochet. So that is why I called it XDC, because we are going to do X just like writing the letter X, and then chain 1 and skip 1 I make the next double crochet into this chain 1 stitch, and then we are going to put 6 double crochet, and then always put 2 DC, 3 chain, and 2 DC in the chain 1 space. and then just mirror the stitches. Now we're done. Row 6. So as you can already see, the paw print is already visible. And now the next row, row 7. Always remember to put 3 DC in the first stitch, and then DC in each stitch until you reach the 3 chain space. Then we are going to put 2 DC, chain 3, 2 DC in the 3 chain space, and then we are going to mirror the stitches. Chain 2. Row 8 to 11 will be the repeat rows of our head bandana. Then add 2 DC in the first stitch. Now we are going to put 4 DC. Chain 3, skip 2, and then we are going to put 10 DC, we are going to put 14 DC, that is in between the paw prints or paw print design. So that is 14 DC. Chain 3, and then skip 2, then 4 DC. Then put 2 DC, chain 3, and 2 DC in the 3 chain space. Then mirror the stitches. Next, 4 DC. Chain 1, skip 1, then DC in the next stitch, put 2 single crochet in the 3 chain space, then DC in the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1, and then 10 DC. Then chain 1, skip 1, put your another DC, and then 2 single crochet in the 3 chain space, DC in the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1, and then put 4 DC. Now we reach the 3 chain space, put 2 DC, chain. We're done row 9. Now we are going to proceed to row 10. So chain 2, 2 DC in the first stitch, and then 6 DC, and then put DC in the chain 1 space, chain 1 and do the X DC, chain 1, and then put your DC in the chain 1 space. Then 12 DC, so that's only 10 DC, I'm sorry, 10 DC, and then put DC in the chain 1 space, chain 1 and do the X DC, chain 1 and put your DC in the chain 1 space, then 6 DC, and then put 2 DC, chain 3, 2 DC in the 3 chain space, then mirror the stitches. Now I'm done row 10. Now we're going to do the row 11, and we are just going to put double crochet up to this 3 chain space, and you are going to include, or you need to put DC in the chain 1 space as well. So I'm done row 11. So I'll just explain here before I leave you to do the rest of the rows. This bandana is 15 rows in total, and we will do the picot edging after. So the things you need to remember is, in the first and last stitch, you are going to put 3 DC. Your 2 chain in the beginning row will represent or count as 1 DC. So that is 3 DC in total. And then you are going to put 2 DC 3 chain and 2 DC in this 3 chain space, so that the triangular shape, we can still achieve the triangular shape. And then the repeat rows of this pattern is this paw print and then the DC rows. So first, in the first repeat row, you are going to begin with 3 DC, 4 DC, 3 DC in the first stitch, and then 4 DC, chain 3, skip 2, and then you are going to put 14 DC, and that is between these two paws or palm of the paw. So that is 14 stitches, and then do the remaining stitches here, and then you're going to mirror the rest of the stitches into the other side of the triangle. And then the second repeat row of the paw print is the usual 3 DC in the first stitch, and then you are going to put 4 DC, chain 1, skip 1, DC in the next stitch, and then you are going to put 2 single crochet in this 3 chain space, 2 single crochet in the 3 chain space, then DC, skip 1, DC, chain 1, skip 1, and then you are going to put 10 DC here, that is between these two toes of our paw prints. So that is 10 DC, and then you are going to repeat the pattern here, chain 1, skip 1, DC, then 2 single crochet in the 3 chain space, DC, chain 1, skip 1, and then do the rest of the stitches, and then mirror on the other side of the triangle. And then the third repeat of this paw print, 3 DC in the first stitch, and then you are going to put 6 DC, and then put 1 DC in this chain 1 space, or the toes, the first toe or the first finger of the paw, I don't know what it's called, and then chain 1, and then we are going to do the XDC. I just call it XDC because when you write the X, you are going to do that, right? So you are going to put your first DC in the second single crochet, and then do the next DC on the first single crochet, and then chain 1, and then this is 10, and then chain 1, and then DC in this chain 1 space, and then here to here, that is 10 stitches or 10 DC, and then you are going to repeat the pattern here, DC in the chain 1 space, skip 1, XDC, chain 1, put your DC in the chain 1 space, and do the rest of the DC stitches and mirror it on the other side. So if we are going to count the stitches in between of these paw prints, in row 1 that is 14, row 2 that is 10, row 3 is also 10 stitches, and then in this one will be the space of our paw prints design. So you can still visualize the paw prints because we have this space of this row here. This is the 4th row repeat that is DC in every stitches, including the chain 1 space. And then in the 3 chain space, you just need to put again and again in every row 2 DC, chain 3 and 2 DC. So I think it explains all. If you have questions, you can just put your questions in the comments so that I can respond to you and clarify to you the things that you're still confused. And then just finish the next 3 or 4 rows of this. You can do 15 rows of this bandana and then the edging, or you can just measure the bottom part of the triangle. I believe this is 15 inches in the bottom, but if you want to have a bigger head bandana, then you can do more rows. It in centimeter, and that is 37 centimeter, but that still depends on you. So I'll just finish this bandana and I will be back when we are going to do the picot edging. I'm done with my 15th row. Now we are going to do the picot edging. So chain 1 and turn. And then we are going to put 1 single crochet in the first stitch, and then make 2 more single crochet, and then in the 4th stitch we are going to do the picot. First, so insert your hook into the 4th stitch and then pull up a loop, or just create the single crochet, chain 3, and then insert your hook here. If you can see this loop and this loop, and then we are going to do the slip stitch, and then we are going to repeat this pattern. 3 single crochet, and in the 4th stitch we are going to do the picot, single crochet, 3 chain, then slip stitch into the single crochet. Just repeat that pattern until you reach into the 3 chain space, and I will show you how I will do the picot edging in the 3 chain space. So I'm almost in the 3 chain space, and I have 3 DC stitches here, so I'll just put 1 single crochet in each stitch, and I will do my picot here in the 3 chain space. Single crochet and then picot, single crochet, and the last picot. You're going to put in your 3 chain space, picot, single crochet, picot, single crochet, picot, and then just mirror the stitches here, and I will be back when we are going to do the straps. So I'm in the last 3 stitches, so I'll just put single crochet in each stitch, we're done with our picot edging. Now we are going to proceed with the strap. So do not cut your yarn yet because we are going to do the straps. So just chain 50 I'm done with my 50 chains. I added one, and then I'm going to slip stitch on the second back bump of the chain up to the last chain stitch here, or do 50 slip stitch. I'm done 50 slip stitch, and then I'm going to put one single crochet in the stitch where I put my last single crochet, and then I will put one single crochet in the DC, and then in every side of this DC you are going to put 2 single crochet. So I'll just finish doing my single crochet until I reach into this point here, and I will finish the second strap, and I will be back when I'm all done. It's finally done. There, the strap. Our fluff head bandana is finally finished. So that's the strap. That's your paw print pattern. So this is another color. So it's very beautiful. If you want to make our fluff tote bag, you can also search the playlist in my channel, so you can partner it with that tote bag. So that's all. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe and click the notification bell so you won't miss any of my videos. Thank you for watching. Bye!